Now before we even start the episode, we have to discuss this brand new title sequence. This is the chronicle of the Targaryen lineage, and we start off with the tale of old Valyria. The capital of the Valyrian freehold, this used to be the home of the dragons. Now because of their superiority in warfare, Valyria had conquered a lot of Essos. Its empire had taken down all its opposing nations, and it ruled over half the planet. Feels weird saying planet in Game of Thrones, but moving on. Now things unfortunately wouldn't last, as the kingdom was rocked by a volcanic eruption. Known as Doom, this wiped out old Valyria and killed a large number of the dragons. Fleeing from it were the Targaryens and Velaryons, who then travelled out to Westeros. That's what we see in this introduction, with dragons dropping out the sky. We then get a shot of 3 dragons and their riders, which are Aegon and his wife's sister brides. Bit weird, but marrying your sister was cool in Valyria, so the guy decided to wed them both and keep the bloodline pure. Their dragons are Balerion the Black Dread, whose skull we've seen in King's Landing. This dragon used to belong to Viserys, and alongside it are Visenya and Rhaenys. Visenya rode Vhagar, who we've met in the show, and she also wielded Darksister. That's the sword that Daemon now carries, with Vhagar belonging to Aemond. Meraxes was who belonged to Rhaenys, with her name later being given to a character in the series. Now though Westeros was seen as being worse in this channel, Aegon saw it as an opportunity. Carrying out Aegon's conquest, he quickly took over the 7 kingdoms and then established his own. No match for the dragons. We see this in the intro and watch as the houses bend their knees. In the middle of these is Torrhen Stark, who we hear about later on in the episode. Torrhen is known as the king who knelt, with this summing up his place in history. He's a figure Jace uses to get Cregan to swear himself again, though he is a bit back and forth. It's funny how this is summing out echoes throughout history with the Starks, as Jon of course end up kneeling to Dany. I believe in this opening we also see Harrenhal, which was a key location that the conquest seized. In there lived Harrenhal, or as he was nicknamed, Harren the Black. He refused to surrender to Aegon, and Balerion burned the location, hence why it's in ruins now. This then led to the establishment of the Targaryens at King's Landing, which we see in the mural. We then get a depiction of the Iron Throne and a figure with a sword in his neck. Aegon died of a stroke at 63, so I don't think that this is that. However, we do know that he had sons in Aenys and Maegor. Aenys was initially the king, but he was seen as a weakling. Fleeing to Dragonstone and apparently dying of cramps, he was then replaced by Maegor the Cruel. A complete tyrant, it's said he died on the Iron Throne after injuring himself on it. Now, the legends state that those who aren't fit to sit there will be cut and killed by the throne itself. This is something that we saw with Viserys, and his disease likely stemmed from infections brought on by him cutting himself. Maegor appears to be surrounded by Blackfire and Dreamfire, which then takes us to Jaehaerys' rule. He established a rule of peace and prosperity, which we see depicted in the Bag of Gold. Next to it is also the pointed star that belongs to the Faith of the Seven. This religion is prevalent throughout the realm, with this showing the ushering in of it. Next we cut to him announcing his heir at Harrenhal. This is how the first season opened, and we then get shots of notable events from it. This includes Alicent rocking up to Rhaenyra's wedding wearing green. The High Tower banner is burned green when announcing war, and this highlighted the characters were here for a fight. We then cut to a depiction of the Civil War, with the 2 thrones being shown. Aegon II sits on the Iron Throne, and he also wears the Conqueror's crown. On the opposite side of this, we have Rhaenyra, who now sits on the throne at Dragonstone. As we pull out, we can see 2 hands, with them being green and black. This represents the 2 sides, with this being a tapestry that showcases the history so far.
Would you like to see the tapestry?
Nah, not really, mate, but a great intro, and I was surprised they changed it as much as they did.